Today we're going to talk about free-to-play team comps for every single rune dungeon. This is kind of like an update to a video I did on dungeons in the past and what I use now in progression. I'm going to show you what I use and maybe some substitutions for monsters that you may not have. These are all free-to-play units. All of them can be obtained easily. If you like all my videos, hit the sub button, hit the like button, hit that bell dingy thing so you know when I post a video. Let's go, baby. Tip of the day, don't be a douchebag. The more you know. Alright, I'm going to start from the top to the bottom. I've done them all, even on my level 56 Kina. I'm going to tell you what to sub in for depending on the summoner. Queen Spider Nest level 15. What I use as an Orbia is Naomi, Helia, and Bastet. It's pretty much a nuke fest. Plus with Queefs, for Cleef, I use Wind Cleef and substitute Naomi for Copper and Bastet for Vivishell. Vivishell cleanses the poisons, has a defense buff, the passive is good if somebody dies, and Copper does crazy damage. You just use his second skill only on Soul Link and just go to town. With Kina you can do this same team that I use on Orbia, or I've replaced Bastet with Lyn. Here's my run on Spider's Nest, and I'll just show you how fast she goes down like a champ, no big deal. Forgotten Earth Shrine. I use Karambit 100% on Soul Link. Only his first skill. The keynote about this boss is removing his attack up and defense up. Water Lich is the perfect monster for this dungeon. They gave out Water Lich for free if for some reason you do not have Water Lich. You can bring in Juno and put her on Soul Link and spam her beneficial buff strip. If you have Juno, you should be building her on damage anyway. If you don't have that, you can definitely do it with Water Vagabond. This is a free monster store unit. All you really need is someone to strip beneficial effects. The rest is easy. Then I finish off the team comp with Bastet. And for Cleef, I run the same team. And for Kina, I run the same team. And again, if you don't have Bastet, what you always want to bring instead of Bastet is either an attack buff or a defense break. So I've brought in Helia, she works. I've even brought in Viger, Water Werewolf, he works. And I've also used Megan, who also works as well. Alright, I just used the first skill of Karambit because he just ramps up his attack speed and they really just, the Water Lich is by far the best stripper for this dungeon just because of how his skill set is. And that's a GG. Here Glands Cave level 15. For Orbia, Bulldozer, Vivishell, and Bastet. Bulldozer and Orbia do all the work. Vivishell is there for the passive, the defense buff, Bastet the shield and the attack buff. For Cleef, what you do is just swap out Vivishell for another damage dealer. I personally use Karambit. I go in as Fire Cleef, just for the bonus because my Cleef is only like 61, and then I change to Dark. This mitigates all the damage, and my Bulldozer and Karambit do all the work. Vivishell passive is so good in dungeons, and with Cleef and his ability to cheese things, Vivishell does that as well for your monsters. With Kina, you can do this same team as well. There is a trend here. I'll talk about it after the last dungeon. Alright, here's tier Glands 15. I used Bulldozer's second skill only, and we're just going to see what the damage is like, what Bastet and Vivishell can do together. You always see the trend in every single dungeon. And like I said, I'll talk about it at the end. Laboratory of Madness is, in my opinion, probably the hardest one out of all 5. There is a lot of mechanics to this fight. You could use a heal block. You could use beneficial block effects. But for my team with Orbia, I just straight nuke it through all the healing. Orbia, Naomi, Bastet, and Lyn. This is by far the best situation for Orbia because you can use her as wind and you have the Endure Ignore. But the thing about Laboratory of Madness dungeon is on level 15 he can actually cleanse his debuffs if you're not doing enough damage. So that heal block gets erased. So there's a lot of mechanics you gotta bring, like a heal block, beneficial block effect, buff strips because he has immunity for a little bit. So in my opinion, the best way is to just nuke it out completely. Every single summoner, just straight nuke it. You might not be at the point where you can straight nuke it. In my opinion, Laboratory of Madness is probably one of the least needed required dungeons, for runes anyway. Focus runes and precision runes, they aren't highly needed yet. However, this is the team I would bring on Orbia. For Cleef and Kina, it's a little bit different. I haven't been able to beat it on Cleef and Kina because I don't have the right monster built. What you need to build as a Cleef or a Kina is a Death Denial Ignoring Damaged unit. This can be Light Mystic, Witch, Dark Amazon, Wind Lich, or Wind Pioneer. If you have any of these units, definitely build it if you want to farm Laboratory of Madness with Cleef or Kina. The easiest one to obtain is obviously Wind Lich, and that's who I am building. He will be one of your damage dealers that you'll put in for either Naomi, Bastet, or Lynn. He's got a defense break, which is huge, and he will ignore the Endure. But you would just straight nuke it just like with this team. One unit you may be able to use that I do not have as well is Sekhmet. Sekhmet is fire, yes. But if you put her on her soul link and just use her second skill to steal buffs from the boss, that's pretty much what her job will be for this dungeon. Alright, here is my Orbia run. First skill only on Naomi, and I just gotta kill him as fast as possible before he cleanses, before all that AoE healing, and then I need to get a first skill off. GG. You definitely need to try to shoot for like a 15-second run on Laboratory of Madness to make it work 100%. Alright, and Lava Cave, probably one of the easiest ones here. Only basic attacks do good damage, and you just need to keep up buffs. I run Karambit and Lynn, easily attainable monsters in the monster story. I run Bastet for buffs, or you can use a Megan as well, which can be better, but a lot of people haven't built Megan, but I love her. But honestly, this team right here on all three summoners will work 100%. You can also use Vigor, Water Werewolf, anybody that has buffs, and preferably attack speed buffs. I'll show you the run here. It's really simple. It's just attack buffs, basic attacks, do all your stuff, and it's GG. And you'll see the speed goes down super quick with all the basic attacks like that. And 12, 5, GG. What is this trend that I spoke of? The trend is with your entire team comp. You at least always have 2 damage dealers and 2 supports. If you're going straight nuke, then it's 3 damage dealers and 1 support. You never want to go into any of these dungeons just with 1 damage dealer. Then you got to deal with all the mechanics of the fight. And sometimes that can be pretty tricky to make it 100%. So if you can't go all out nuke, don't try to get fancy and bring 3 monsters that are like supports that like, oh, it's going with the mechanics of the fight. It's too much. You won't do enough damage. Orbi is a damage dealer. Cleef and Kina are supports. That's it for today's video. I tried to give you as many substitutions as I could from Nat 5s and Nat 4s, or maybe Nat 4s you haven't built yet. I tried to do it as best as I could, using monsters that are kind of the meta, and giving you examples of monsters that I use that aren't the meta. But I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!